What a win for the Detroit Lions to wrap up week 3, a little Monday Night Football in the books. This is for Verts. This is what we do. We react to every primetime NFL game on the season, Sunday, Monday, Thursday Night Football. Be sure to subscribe and lock us in all season long. Detroit beats Baltimore 38-30 on Monday Night Football to improve to 2-1 on the season. The Ravens fall to 1-2. David Montgomery running wild, 12 carries, 151 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Had a 72-yard run in this game to kind of break it open at one point. Jahmyr Gibbs added a lot of tough runs and a couple of touchdowns on the night as well. And after getting worked by the Packers in week 1, all of a sudden, these two new coordinators for Detroit, Johnny Morton and Kelvin Shepard, seem to have settled in as they smoked the Bears last week and honestly handled the Ravens pretty well tonight in Baltimore. Pretty significant win. One of the better wins of the Dan Campbell era, I'd say, and they've had quite a bit. We're going to break it all down from all angles here, but I think initially my thought is I know what I saw in week 1 at Lambeau Field. The excitement among Packers fans there was palpable with Micah Parsons' debut, and the Lions they were sputtering offensively. It didn't look like the Lions we've become accustomed to. Everybody was questioning with their two coordinators gone. The last 2 weeks, they've looked like the Lions we've seen the last couple of years. Jared Goff just making good decisions, accurate throws, spreading the ball around. St. Brown, 7 for 77 and a touchdown. Jameson Williams, couple of big catches. Laporta, some key third downs. And just leaning on the run game, which is what they did a lot under Ben Johnson. David Montgomery, 12 for 151 and 2 touchdowns. That's 12.6 average. Jahmyr Gibbs was mostly contained, only 3 yards per carry, but grinded out some tough yards. It's almost like they played inverse roles tonight. He went 22 for 67, but they combined for 4 touchdowns, combined for 6 yards per carry on the night. Just a balanced attack from Detroit on Monday Night Football. 38 points in Baltimore. It's going to be hard to find a better win than that in the regular season this year. And perhaps more importantly, and this is one thing that I thought was possible, maybe not to this extent tonight, but one thing that I thought could happen to Detroit this year. I thought the offense would take a step back. In the last 2 weeks, that does not appear to be the case. I thought it would still be really good, but I thought maybe it takes a slight step back. Week 1, it looked like a big step back. Last 2 weeks, not so much. But I thought the defense would be better. Not because Aaron Glenn's a capable defensive coordinator and Kelvin Shepard is this just superstar in the making, and who knows, maybe he is. Looked pretty good tonight. But because they were back and healthy. Aiden Hutchinson looks pretty healthy. I mean, that guy was flying around tonight. He had just 1 sack, 7 sacks. How about Al-Quadin Muhammad? 2.5 sacks. They found this guy, I think, last year. He was almost out of the league, and he's just on a complete resurgence. I mean, he's a hell of a player all of a sudden. They sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times tonight. If Detroit's defense is just above average, they're going to be tough to beat because their offense is one of the 3 or 5 best units in the NFL. That interior offensive line, which is young, is starting to play a lot better. That's the key for them offensively. If that new interior holds up, there's no weaknesses on the offense. The defense has a legitimate pass rush. Their linebacker trio with Anzalone, Campbell, and Barnes is excellent. Their secondary is really good. Their only kind of weakness in the secondary is Terry and Arnold, and he's getting better. I mean, I know they gave up 30 points, but you sack Lamar Jackson 7 times, you force another Derrick Henry fumble, which that's not great if you're Baltimore. 3 fumbles in 3 games, including 2 critical fourth quarter ones. The one in week 1 cost you against Buffalo. I don't know if it lost you the game tonight, but certainly didn't help in terms of how this one ended up playing out down the stretch as Detroit won the fourth quarter by 8 points, won the game by 8 points. Detroit just played better. They played smarter. They were more explosive. Jared Goff, 0 sacks taken. Lamar, 7 sacks taken. They were just better in all facets. They were better in all facets of the game. 426 yards of total offense. They hold the Ravens to 318 yards of total offense. I mean, it was 38-24. Then the Ravens get kind of that last-minute touchdown, not Hail Mary, onside kick attempt for a miracle comeback. Doesn't happen. What a win for Detroit. One of the best wins through 3 weeks so far this season. I think Baltimore is going to be fine. But man, you blow that game in week 1 against Buffalo. You're up 15 minutes with 5 minutes to go, and you get worked in your own building tonight. Not exactly ideal. And how about this for next week? The Baltimore Ravens, I think, go on the road. I'll double check here to play the Kansas City Chiefs next week. 1-2 AFC powerhouses from the last several years. Now, the Chiefs don't look great. I would say Baltimore as a 1-2 team has looked better than the Chiefs as a 1-2 team right now, but the loser of that game is going to be in some trouble. I mean, the loser of that game is 1-3. So big game next week at Arrowhead Stadium in that afternoon window on CBS. That is going to be a massive one because, again, the loser of that is way behind the 8 ball at 1-3 through 4 games. So that is going to be interesting. But, this game, it felt like for a while, it was like, okay, it's back and forth, but this game's in Baltimore. They'll take control, and they never quite did. And that's kind of the one thing about this era of Ravens football. As good as they are, as dominant as they are at times, it just feels like sometimes in these big spots, they don't take stranglehold of the moment sometimes. Not all the time, but like in playoff games, it certainly happened. We saw it in week 1. They're just coasting. That game's in control. Then one Derrick Henry fumble, the game flips on its head. It's just like, man, that's a little concerning because this team's going to be in the playoffs. I don't think anyone – I'm supposed to be scared that Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are 2-1. Like, the Ravens are going to be fine. They're going to win the AFC North. Like, you can book that. But they just got – in these big games, in these tight spots, they got to take ownership of these moments, and it just doesn't feel like they do often enough. You know who does? You know who's like, you know what? I'm taking matter into my own hands? Dan Campbell. 4th and 2, shy of midfield, up 7, coming out of the 2-minute warning. No hesitation, play action. Goff throws a beautiful ball to St. Brown. Now, they got a defensive holding anyway. It would have been a first down, but that's saying, you know what? We're up 7. If we don't get this, we don't get this, but I believe in my guys, and this is what we do. Would John Harbaugh have gone for that, up 7 at midfield, or would he have punted? I think he probably would have punted. And that's not because I don't think John Harbaugh is a good coach, but we know Dan Campbell, say what you want about him. Does it feel reckless at times? Sure. He knows who he is. And he has that mentality, and his players feed off of that. Like, when Jared Goff jogs over to the sideline at the 2-minute warning, you think there's any debate about what they're going to do in that spot? No, the conversation is, hey, what play call do we want to run here? It's not, hey, do we want to go here? If we do, what do we want to run or pass? It's no, we're going for it. What play call do you like? Along with Johnny Morton on the headset. They're having that conversation. Like, it's just, whether you're a Lions fan, a football fan, whatever, you could just appreciate that. You want a coach that has a style and a mentality and lives by that constantly. Now, can you get burned occasionally like that? Yeah. In the NFC Championship game a couple years ago, they went for a few 4th downs with a big lead when they could have kicked field goals, didn't convert. They end up losing a close one. Well, if Josh Reynolds catches a couple of balls, they probably win that game going away. So, live by the risk, die by the risk. But this is who he is. And they have the personnel to be confident in doing this. Think about the team that Brad Holmes, the Lions GM, has built. Okay? Obviously, you made the QB swap trade for Jared Goff. And look, when they made that trade, publicly they'll tell you they value Jared Goff very highly. And I'm sure they did a little bit because he obviously had played well in LA. But that last year and a half, he was starting to slip a little bit. But they took him on and said, okay, if he works, great. If he doesn't, we'll take the multiple first-round picks as well and build this football team up. Well, Goff did work. Ben Johnson helped revitalize his career, got him to a place he's never gotten before. Johnson leaves, and now Goff, he's just in a place in his career where it doesn't really matter who the play caller is because the talent around him is so good, and he's very good. I mean, Jared Goff, when he's kept clean in the pocket, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, top 7. He's very, very good. He's right below those top guys. The big four we all talk about, I would take Justin Herbert ahead of him. Stafford, that's a debate now with him looking a little older. Jared Goff is right after that. He is right in that mix, especially if you keep him clean. And just think about the team they've built. 2 good tackles with Penei Sewell, the veteran, and Taylor Decker. Looks like they've hit on a couple of these interior guys. Both running backs. They signed David Montgomery for $6 million per year, and then extend him for $9 million last season. They draft Jahmyr Gibbs, St. Brown, Laporta, Jamison Williams. This Isaac Tesla kid seems like he's going to be pretty good. Aiden Hutchinson. They signed DJ Reader. They have 3 good linebackers. Both their safeties, Kirby Joseph. Brian Branch is a hell of a football player. I mean, they got blue chippers everywhere, and the guys that aren't blue chippers are red chippers. Like, they're high-end starters, right? Derek Barnes isn't a blue chip linebacker, but he's a damn good football player, right? He's a very, very good football player. And then they find just random guys that contribute. Al-Quadin Muhammad, just a good football player, right? Khalif Raymond, excellent on special teams, little gadget receiver. They have high-end talent. They have good starters, and their role players play a key role. Like, Brad Holmes has built a juggernaut of a roster. So you've got that. You've got a head coach who is confident as hell and instills that confidence in his football team. And you have a quarterback who's reliable and an offensive line that can protect him, skill guys everywhere, and a defense that's probably not perfect, but seems to be good enough based on the offense that you have. I mean, this is just a well-oiled machine that the Lions have, and the Ravens have a hell of a roster too. They definitely missed Matabike tonight. I mean, not having him on that run defense, I mean, they just got ran over. 224 yards rushing. Not having him out there certainly played a difference, but listen, that's the NFL. Yeah, guys are going to go down, so it is what it is. Again, I think Baltimore's going to be fine. I still think they're one of, if not the best teams in the AFC. But in these big games, they've won a lot of them, especially in the regular season. But 2 so far this year in big spots, they've come up short. So, I don't think it's a panic situation, but it just is what it is. All right, before we get out of here, I'll leave you guys on this. Who is the best team in the NFL right now? Best team in the league. Is it the Bills? And they've been good. They beat Baltimore, but their defense feels vulnerable. I know the Lions got crushed week 1. They've been dominant the last 2 weeks. Who is it? Best team in the NFL. Chargers? Probably need to see a little bit more. Kind of feels like an open year. Feels like there's 5 to 7 teams that can win the Super Bowl this year. Early on, my thoughts on who can win the Super Bowl. Lions, Eagles. I wouldn't say they're the best team so far this year, though. But they are 3-0, and they're the defending champs. Ravens. I'm still going to put the Chiefs in there, but they're going to have to play a lot better. Bills. I'll throw the Packers in there, but this week was alarming. Is that the cutoff? 49ers lose Nick Bosa. It's a big loss. Rams, maybe they're in there. Bucks. Okay. Maybe 8 teams. Feels open, though. Feels open. You guys let me know. Best team in the NFL. Don't forget to subscribe. We're going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll have more content tomorrow. See you then.